It had seemed like any other morning, still, quiet, touched by the familiar rhythm of routine until I saw it. An envelope sat alone on the kitchen counter, perfectly placed, like it had been waiting. My name was scrawled across it in his unmistakable handwriting, bold, careful, deliberate. It stared back at me like a verdict, like it already knew what I didn't want to admit. At first, I thought maybe he had left early for work, or perhaps gone to visit his mother and left a note behind. But the moment my fingers touched the envelope, something inside me shifted. A cold, heavy unease took root in my stomach, anchoring, deep, immovable. The house was too quiet, not peacefully so, but hollow. His shoes were missing from their usual place beside the door. The upstairs bed was unmade. Tiny details, ordinary at a glance, but pieced together, they whispered of something that had already slipped away. My hands began to tremble before I'd even peeled back the seal. I didn't want to know, not really. But something deeper than instinct told me this letter, this moment, would change everything. It felt like holding a final breath. I slid my thumb beneath the flap, unfolding the page with shaking hands. And the first words I saw made the ground beneath me vanish. Goodbye, Emmer. Just 2 words. But they ripped the air from my lungs. The rest didn't read like an explanation. It wasn't angry. It wasn't bitter. It felt like a quiet, devastating confession. Not his. Mine, line by line. He poured himself out onto the page with a clarity that left me winded. He knew. He had known for a long time. He wrote about that night, the night I stumbled home, reeking of a cologne that wasn't his, stammering something about late hours at work and a project that didn't exist. He had seen straight through the lie. From that moment on, he noticed it all: the locked phone, the forced smiles, the extra showers, the excuses that piled up like fragile, rotting scaffolding. He hadn't said a word. That was what undid me. He hadn't confronted me or accused me or demanded answers. He had waited for the woman he loved to return to him with the truth. But I never did. I drifted farther, and he watched silently, steadily as the woman he once knew became someone else entirely. There was no rage in his writing, no dramatic declarations, just this calm, mournful acceptance. He told me he loved me, still loved me, but that loving me now meant letting me go. Because staying would have meant erasing himself. We would have destroyed each other. He wrote, but only one of us knew it was already happening. And in that moment, kneeling on the kitchen floor, the letter shaking in my hands, I realized I had already done the destroying. The sobs came before I could stop them, raw, violent, gutting. I broke open right there on the cold tile, not just from the guilt, but from the clarity. I had ruined something sacred, something rare. He wasn't just the man I shared a house with. He was the one who folded my laundry when I forgot it in the dryer, who rubbed my shoulders when panic curled tight in my chest, who made my coffee exactly the way I liked it and kissed my forehead every single night, like it was his quiet promise to always be near. I used to think he didn't notice the small things, but he had noticed everything, quietly, deeply, without asking for applause. And I had treated his love like background noise, always there, always humming until it was gone. Frantic, I tried to reach him. I called, again and again. His number was disconnected. I texted, emailed, even drove to his office in a panic, only to find he had taken an indefinite leave. No goodbye, no forwarding address, just absence, deliberate and vast. And that's when it hit me. This wasn't an impulsive escape or a reaction to a single betrayal. This had been long in the making, a quiet unraveling I had refused to see. He had loved me so deeply that he had waited, hoping I'd come back to him, and when I didn't, he chose to leave with grace instead of bitterness. The days that followed blurred together. I moved like a ghost through the house, haunted by his absence. Every room echoed with the memory of what I had ignored: his long, quiet stares across the dinner table, the nights he reached for my hand and I pulled away, the mornings he softly asked, "Are you okay?" And I answered with a lie and a hollow smile. I replayed every moment where I could have saved us and chose not to. Every opportunity to tell the truth, to apologize, to fight for what we had. And now, I couldn't even say goodbye properly. Weeks passed, then months. Eventually, through a friend of a friend, I heard he'd moved to a small town somewhere quieter, more peaceful. He was starting over. He never spoke of me, never dragged my name through the dirt. When asked, he simply said, "It didn't work out." That was it. No venom, no story. Just the final punctuation to a love I had taken for granted. I did right back. Eventually. I didn't try to justify myself. I didn't make excuses or beg for forgiveness. I wrote the truth finally. Painfully, I told him I had been wrong. That I had loved him, truly, but hadn't understood what real love meant until it was gone. That I had destroyed something good because I was blind to its value. He never replied. I didn't expect him to. He had already spoken his farewell, and it echoed in every line of that letter. I still have it, folded neatly, hidden away in a drawer I almost never open. Some days I forget it's there, other days it pulls at me like a ghost. I read it when I need to remember what love really looks like, not loud or boastful, not perfect but quiet, steady, unwavering, the kind of love you only get once, the kind you should never, ever take for granted.